Hello, I'm Rick Martin, Technical Training Manager with Dayton Parts. Welcome to the Dayton Parts Garage. In this DP Garage video, we will be discussing air disc brakes, which are becoming more popular in commercial vehicles today. Dayton Parts has air disc brake components to service all makes and models. This video will provide information to assist you in identifying the make and model of each brake, identifying the components of an air disc brake, understanding the basic operation of an air disc brake, performing preventative maintenance inspections, and service tips. We're going to cover the three most common models of air disc brakes for commercial vehicles: the Bendix ADB22X and XV, the Meritor EX Plus, and the Wabco Pan and Wabco Maxus. All air disc brake models have similar characteristics: direct mounted air brake chambers, sliding caliper designs, either a 1 or 2 piston design, internal automatic adjustment mechanisms, sealed calipers that are lubed for life, and sealed slide pins and bushings that are lubed for life. With all of these physical similarities, it may seem difficult to distinguish one manufacturer from another. Actually, it's quite easy to identify each make and model, even with the tire and wheel installed. Each air disc brake has a 6-point hex adjuster that is protected by a plug or a cap. The design can assist in identifying the manufacturer. The Bendix cap is cone-shaped. Meritor early production cap is nipple-shaped, and Meritor later production is a plug with a rounded head. And Wabco Pan and Maxus use a flat plug. It is important that these are reinstalled after servicing to provide protection from contaminants during vehicle operation. The physical appearances of the caliper will provide another means of identification. Looking at the back of the caliper under the air brake chamber, you will see differences in each brake design. The Bendix has a non-metallic caliper cover with retaining bolts, and the manual adjuster is offset to the center of the caliper. The Meritor is a one-piece cast body with no retaining bolts, and the manual adjuster is offset from the center of the caliper. The Wabco Pan has a cast cover with retaining bolts. The manual adjuster is centered on the caliper and directly under the air brake chamber. The Wabco Maxus is a one-piece cast body with no retaining bolts. The manual adjuster may be at the center or offset to the side of the caliper. Also, each brake has a unique means of securing the brake pads into the brake carrier. The Bendix retainer is secured with a pin and a spring clip. The Meritor retainer is secured with a 17mm hex head bolt. The Wabco Pan design, which can be called a tuning fork, is secured with a 17mm hex head bolt. The Wabco Maxus design tuning fork is secured with a 8mm internal hex head bolt. Five main components make up a sliding caliper air disc brake assembly: a torque plate, which is mounted to the axle assembly; a carrier assembly, which supports the long and short slide pins, which is mounted to the torque plate and houses the brake pads; the caliper, which houses the pistons, automatic adjuster, return spring, lever, and slide pin bushings; the air brake chamber, which is directly mounted to the caliper; and the rotor assembly, which can be a U-shape or spline type, is mounted to the hub. Now let's take a moment to talk about the general operation of direct mounted air disc brakes. When the vehicle brakes are applied, the chamber push rod moves outward. The push rod activates the lever. The lever moves the rollers against the pistons, moving them outwards. When the brakes are released, springs within the chamber and caliper return the system to the released position. During a maintenance inspection, all brake-related components should be inspected. Confirm that the air hoses have no cracks, leaks, or swelling. Make sure the ABS wiring is secure. Check air chambers for audible leaks or physical damage. Look for oil or grease contamination on the brake friction material. Visually inspect the rotor and make sure there is no evidence of metal-to-metal contact. Visually inspect through the wheel using a mirror or borescope the lining thickness. If the thickness is less than 3 mm or 1/16 of an inch, a wheels-off inspection is required. Visually inspect the mechanical wear indicator or measure the caliper, depending upon the manufacturer. Let's take a look. On the Bendix, look at the position of the indicator notches on the caliper and carrier. On the Meritor, look at the position of the wear indicator in relation to the caliper. And the Wabco, measure the position of the caliper guide pin edge to the carrier. Next, and this is important, perform a running clearance check of the air disc brake. With the wheels chalked, the parking brake released, grasp the brake chamber and check for lateral movement. If the caliper does not move, or the movement is greater than 80 thousandths of an inch, the caliper requires further inspection. Air disc brake chambers must have the capability to seal the push rod and caliper from the atmosphere. The bellows, shaft seal, chamber seal, and caliper seals all prevent moisture and contaminants from entering the caliper. When replacing a chamber, it is critical to replace like product with like product. The same size and type of chamber should always be installed. With today's tractors and trailers, it's quite common for fleets to have a mixture of drum and air disc brakes on their vehicles. To ensure both brake types perform as designed, it is important to mandate high fade friction materials to maintain your vehicle's maximum performance. Dayton Parts recommends high torque and well-matched coefficient friction disc pads and drum brake shoes. Dayton Parts is here to support your replacement needs with precision components to service all makes and models. Contact a Dayton Parts professional or visit DaytonParts.com to determine the correct friction grade that will provide the best stopping performance and longest life. Well, that's all we have for today. If you want to learn more about Dayton Parts products, check out our other DP Garage videos.